This year's winners of the Nobel Prize in Economics were lauded for their work in game theory. But just what was involved in the selection of the victors? For his perspective, we turn to Ludwig Chincarini, right?
Yes.
Adjunct professor at Georgetown University. He joins us from Washington. Nice to have you here, sir.
Hi, nice to be here.
We're having you on because you've been circulating a letter among fellow economists and also Nobel Prize winners, former winners of the prize in economics. You make the argument that you think this year's award was politically motivated. Why?
Yes, well, this year's award went to game theory, and game theory got it in 1994, and really most economists would probably agree that that was the last time game theory would see the Nobel Prize, but yet we got it this year again. And I think it may have been related to the fact that Schelling's early application of game theory was to the war and to how to avert war through negotiation. So it may have been something about the Iraqi war, maybe something about the North Korean nuclear weapons, but something where the committee put some of their political views into the award.
Well, I was reading about the winners, and many have argued that Schelling maybe should have been included last time around. In addition, the other individual who won, they felt should have maybe gotten the award back in Mr. Aumann.
You know, that you can make the point. You know, what I did is I picked up a game theory book, and one of the leading books, and I read the introduction, and neither of them were mentioned in that introduction, although the ones who won it in 1994 were mentioned. Mm-hmm. So I'll kind of leave that with you to decide. But
wouldn't you argue, though, that economics is always political? I mean, the Nobel Prize, many have argued, especially the Peace Prize, is extremely political, even though I should point out that we did call, and they argue that no, they never have any political motivations when it comes to awarding the prize. But economics is always political.
I don't know if it's always political. I would say that if you look at the past Nobel Prize winners, most of those people, it was pretty well known amongst the academic community that they would win the Nobel Prize one day. Yes. But
your argument is that the committee said this was a criticism of the United States' entry into the war in Iraq.
I don't know what it was. Remember, I'm speculating, so
sure.
You know, I'm not a political analyst, but I'll say that there was this tinge. They open up their document when they give the award with two lines that say, "War brings human misery, and anything that can be involved in cooperation to avoid war is important." And then they go on to mention what Schelling did.
Well, let's go back to this idea about whether or not economics is political. We could go back to Milton Friedman and Capitalism and Freedom, and he felt that, in fact, freedom and democracy were completely intertwined with capitalism, and I think that very much defines the whole idea. That the Cold War was about two competing economic models.
Absolutely. So, but again, whether the Nobel Prize should be given for some work in game theory or not, based on whether it's related to war, is questionable. That's all I'd say. I agree economics plays a hand in war. That's true.
Sure, almost always. Mr. Chincarini, interesting, thought-provoking. Provocative.
Thank you.
We enjoyed it. Ludwig Chincarini, he's adjunct professor at Georgetown University.